Hey everybody, welcome to Spectral Sailor. I'm Rosie, and we're gonna usher in Jason real quick. Here's Jason, and we
Okay.
have special guest tonight, Alan Wright,
Hi, everybody.
and an extra guest, Adam Ramos. Woo!
Hello, everybody.
And we are going to be picking the brain of Alan and talking about some of his books tonight and seeing what inspired him. What's the process of writing a book? What kind of state of mind do you go to, when you're writing a book and whatnot, and what inspired him to write and publish several books that he has published? You want to start with a certain one?
Well, might as well start with the first one. My of course, when I married my wife, when I met my wife, I told her some of the experiences that I had as being a medium and stuff, and uh, she said you ought to write a book, and I never had any. Um, I didn't know how to start that process or anything. I wasn't ever an author or anything like that. Didn't do much writing. But anyway, uh, one evening I went to bed and I had about 250 Facebook friends on my Facebook. And when I got up in the morning, I had 5,000. It was the limit that Facebook could have. And I couldn't believe it. How does that happen, But I soon found out that the universe was pretty much uh, doing it because almost everybody that was on my friends list now, not only did I have the 250 that I started out with, but everybody else was paranormal people, investigators, and they had shows like yours, and they had all kinds of mediums and everything. I couldn't believe I had 5,000 friends. But this one lady, she was a publisher, and I got in touch with her, and I asked her if she would take on new authors, and she said yes. And she asked me to write a chapter of my book and send it to her, and she would go from there, whether she wanted me or not. And so I did, and I sent it to her, and she sent a letter back saying, yeah, she would be my publisher. So that's how it started out. She was with us for about six books, I think it was, and then my wife took over the duties of the publisher because we were just going through Amazon anyway, and we could self-publish your book through Amazon, and that's what the publisher was doing. Basically, was just publishing through Amazon. So my wife took over that duties, but that's how my first book started. Um, in that book, it was I told about the one passport rejection that I had from my grandfather, and and things like that. I talked about going into the light at the end of the tunnel. I It was just like being uh, having a near death experience, but I wasn't dead. And I wasn't close to death, but I went through the same process and that I went into the light, the whole 9 yards. But anyway, that was my first book, and it's kind of my baby. But then it led to another book, At the Edge of Eternity. That's basically my experiences as a healer. And I try to, in this book, try to make the reader feel that, you know, we're only here for a short time. And we're like visiting, uh, you know, we're here maybe, if we're lucky, for a whole lifetime, maybe 70, 80 years. But uh, we can be gone, and this life is so fragile. And I try to impress upon people, basically to live your life to the fullest, and also enjoy everything that you're doing. And that was part of it. But I went through uh, most of the healings that I've done in my lifetime in that book. And then my third book, uh, oh no, honey, what's the title of my third book? I forgot the title.
Hey, Pamela, Chrissy, Jerry, Crystal.
Just a minute, I'll check real quick here. I got on my bot. I didn't know we were going to talk about all my books. Let's see here.
That's okay. Age does that. I've been having a week like that already, and I mean, I just turned
Well,
40 last week.
I think my third book was "You're on the Air." I started going to having radio uh, things like with you guys, and the spirits would come on and basically interrupt the broadcast because they had messages for the hosts or co-hosts, and so when I said "You're on the air," I was talking mainly about the spirits, and they knew it. They knew how to do it, and they would break in with messages for people on the show.
And
Sometimes
people
they
that
would
were viewing at the time, usually.
well, no, but people that called into it was call in show, and
Yeah.
sometimes they would get a message from the spirit before they even called in. It was kind of weird, but
It
yeah,
is. They work like that though sometimes, huh?
yeah. And my fourth book was My Destination for the Truth, and in that book, I what truth do we have? Uh, what the only basically the truth I think that you can get in your life is the things that you prove to yourself. Science, for instance. If they prove that something is what it is, then you can almost take that as truth. And in the paranormal field, I think there's more truth in the paranormal field than any of the other things like religion and the other ones, mainly because uh, we personally deal with it, and we know where it's coming from, we know where it's going, and we pretty much know. Even though we know a lot about the paranormal, there's still a lot of things that happen that we don't know. But there's people out there that's investigating what could happen and stuff, and it's really fascinating as to how they're getting to the truth with all these gadgets and gizmos and stuff that they use. But my destination for the truth is basically my own journey and the experiences that I had trying to get to the truth. I've been a member of a few churches. I've been, but like I said, you can't really deal with religion as a truth. Uh, Religion is what man has um, made for man, and their interpretation of the Bible and everything else is, it's their interpretation of the Bible. But anyway, so you have to find your own truth in that. And that's what I did. And
Do you
that's
think
when I,
that's why paranormal is like what you said? It's like it has the most truth because it can appeal to anyone, no matter what belief they are. It can appeal to them in some way, either psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, or scientifically.
yes, I told you last time, I think it is, that uh, paranormal, there's a very thin line between paranormal, religion, and science. And at,
Hmm.
at some point, they're all going to come together and be one because you can't. you can't worship something in religion and not say that the other part of it, I mean, the spirit world is not there, or if you see spirits or talk to spirits, that you're the devil or whatever. And that's so far from the truth, it's unreal. At some point, they're going to have to realize that those spirits that we deal with are spirits of people who had lived in past. And a lot of times they're here for a certain reason, for whatever reason, but they're earthbound. And then uh, they preach of a heaven and hell, but they don't really know the concept of heaven. You know what I mean? And I've been to that place where they showed me the different levels or dimensions of heaven. And I know there's at least 9 levels of heaven or 9 dimensions of heaven.
Mm-hmm.
One of those dimensions is, I believe, a planet or a place where you can live that's better than the one before it. And when you get to the top one, the top level, then you can be like God. I'm not blaspheming when I say that. I saw it. I'm only going by what they told me. This universe is endless. It's forever. Yeah, scientists are trying to get a grasp of how large the universe is. My God, man, it goes on forever. And there's room for everybody else. We worship a God, but there could be another God in another universe that they worship, you know? And because that person had went to the top level or dimensions, and he reached that where he can be a God, basically. And it doesn't matter how many people there was. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters as long as, because the universe is in it. And there could be as many gods as there are dimensions or planets in the universe, and there are billions of planets. So, uh, you know, like I said, at some point, science, paranormal, and religion is going to have to come together, because they will not be able to uh, prove one is false, and from anything else. It's gonna happen, and it's gonna happen soon. Um, anyway, I I feel that we as human beings, each one of us, are searching for something in our own lives, something that would be an anchor in our lives, and something that we can focus on life. And when I went and saw my grandfather, time that uh, it's been a staple for me for my whole life, and I base a lot of things that I do from that astral projection. Uh, I don't grieve so much when I do a little sin, because I know karma's going to come around, knock me in the ass, and I I do things a lot differently now. I realize that good people go to a good place. It's called paradise. I know that bad people go to very low place too, and it's not good. But it has to be really a bad sin before they go there. Um, Even then, they can work their way out of that uh, place. We talked about it last time, so I won't say too much more about it. But um, that was my fourth book.
Someone had
My,
a comment for you.
oh, what's that?
Well, the paranormal is on different dimensions and levels.
Yeah, uh, I believe so. Um, Even right now, we know there's spirits that's earthbound. I do anyway. For whatever reason, I think a lot of times they have messages that they want to give their families, and unfortunately, their families don't believe in that stuff, spirit world and all that. So they really can't get their message to them until a time that somebody from their family, um, like me, does that for them, you know. And I also believe that there's since the beginning of time, the human time, there's been so many people that's died, and where are they all at? They're not all on the earthly plane. They're in these different dimensions. The godly people, I think, are really all already at the top of their dimension. Like Mother Teresa, she would be a good example of a person who uh, she uh, committed her life for doing good, for feeding the poor and stuff. We talked about that last time too, and clothing, feeding feeding the hungry, clothing the poor, and that's religion in its perfect form. That's what she did her whole life, and she would be a good example of somebody that would probably be on the top level or pretty close to the top level of uh, that heaven scale or dimension. Um, any other comment? No.
Jerry said thank you. Donna says hello. It's a new
Hello.
viewer. I haven't seen her before on our show yet. Hey, Donna, welcome.
Hi, Donna.
Good to have new peoples watching the Spectral Sailor. And Jerry said yes to what you said. I have some questions for you myself that I wrote
Okay.
down. I have a couple. And then if
Okay.
anyone else, if one of these guys have questions, um, do you think, I've always wondered this because I've always felt like when people are close to dying, a lot of times they kind of know, like they start changing things in their lives. Like my dad didn't go to church and he wasn't very religious. He would, like say, you know, God wants you to do this and wants you to do that, but he didn't actually practice or go to any churches for a long time. And then the year before he passed away, he started going to church miraculously. I just thought it was strange. And I'm not saying that anyone does or doesn't have to go to church or does or doesn't have to choose, what kind of religion he chose. So that's my disclaimer because I don't condone anyone for their belief as long as they're not a bad person and they don't do evil things to people. I don't like that. But he started going to church like a year before he passed away, and I just thought it was weird because basically his whole life he just was like, no, I'm not going to be bothered with doing that, and I don't want to be, going somewhere with a lot of people and get out and socialize. And he just started socializing more and doing different things before he found out he had pancreatic cancer, almost like I felt like, which I might just be thinking that because it helps me be comforted, like he was making peace with the world before he passed away. Do you think that some people know kind of when they think that they're going to be passing away?
Yeah, I think so. Everybody knows when you're born terminal. At some point you're going to die. And us old people, we tend to look back on our lives and reflect on some of the things that we did, and we tend to try to change our lives and uh, make it where maybe we're not quite so bad. I don't know what to, but yeah, a lot of people do that. Um, uh, I think they do know that they're going to die pretty soon. Sometimes I think a person knows that they're sick and they just don't tell anybody, and it might be terminal, and so they just know they have about a year or so to live, and so they just go ahead and they do whatever they can do to get their own self straight with God or with the universe.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I just found it odd. And he had started getting rid of some of his farm animals because he lived on a farm and he started selling some of them. And he even
Oh yeah.
sold, yeah, and he sold 5 acres of his 15-acre farm not long before that. It was almost like he was preparing, but he also told me that he was planning to go to Lake Tahoe and he wanted me to go with him. And I feel like in some way he meant heaven or something. I don't know.
Well, yeah. If a person knows that he's dying or he's near death, that they sometimes do kind of weird and strange things. What we feel is weird and strange. but maybe he sold that farm to give himself some extra cash or whatever. And I
Hey, Facebook user. I don't know who it is.
anyway, I think sometimes too. A lot of times when you get elderly too, I think sometimes you start seeing your relatives that's passed.
Yeah.
Um, I know I'm 72 years old right now, and I see my mother quite often. In fact, she's in our house right now. Now that doesn't mean she's here. She just came here. She's probably been around all this time, but I know for a fact I couldn't see spirits for a long time. I just could communicate with them, you know.
Yeah.
And so, um, she, so same things probably happened with a lot of other people, you know. And they start seeing spirits of their relatives, like their past mother and father or whatever, and they probably thought, well, I wonder why they're here. Maybe I better prepare to get ready to go here. You know, why are they all of a sudden visiting me? But they're around you all the time. Your past relatives are around you also, especially your close ones. The relatives that was close to you, they're around you all the time. A lot of
Yeah.
times they're your guardian angels.
I kind of always thought that, but I had confirmation about at least two of them. Well, maybe
Yeah,
three,
yeah,
about things that happened that was specific to them, like smelling my dad's sweat. Like he had a certain body odor smell when he worked out on the farm, not in a bad way, but like his body scent
yeah,
smelled a certain way, and smelling him, and then like a friend of mine and then a cousin of mine, like had just like specific experiences, I guess that wouldn't be explained any other way.
yeah.
I had another question. We didn't really talk about this much last time, and I don't like to talk about it a lot because some people take the negative route on it. But have you dealt with as many negative energies or experiences as you have with positive?
No. I try to stay away from the negative energies. I try to protect myself. I don't really deal with them that much. And on our show that we have, Barbara and I and my wife, connections on Sunday, uh, we actually say a prayer at the beginning of the show so that uh, we can have just the good energies come in and not the bad energies. Although we had to deal with some of the bad energies because they came in anyway on the show and they disrupted the show and stuff. And I had to bless the show and make the noises and stuff that they were. We even heard voices, and I had to bless the show and make them go away. You know, cast them out of our show very much. But yeah, I've dealt with some, but not too many of them. We felt a negative energy here in the house just a few days ago, and so what we did was we saged the house and went through and blessed the house, and uh, we got rid of it. Lori said that she was seeing a ghost spirit out in our kitchen from the bedroom, and uh, she's the one that saw it, and she's the one that wanted me to bless the house. We did. We saged it and blessed it, and she hasn't seen it since. Um, but yeah, I've dealt with one over in California too. He made out like he was a baby. He wasn't a baby. He was crying in the bedroom and stuff. The people that owned the house could hear that night when they were watching TV the sound of a baby crying upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Do you want me to get rid of it?" And they said, "Yeah, if you don't mind." So I did. I cast it out then, and blessed the house. And a month or so later, I asked the owner of the house if she had any problems with that uh, spirit, and she said no, he hadn't come back, no more noises. So I must have got rid of it.
Hey everybody, your friend is on here, Barbara. She said, "Blessing, my Alan and sweet paranormal host and chat." Thank you. Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Dawn says, "When I had my near-death experience, I seen family members I never had even met."
Yeah, you will. They do that so that you will know them when you do pass. I know. You know what happened to me one time? I was only about 5, 6 years old at this time. I don't know if I told you this before, but I went to bed and I had a dream. It was more like a vision, and I was in this room, and there was chairs set up, and people sitting in the chairs, and I thought that was kind of weird. But then I looked. I was off to the side of the room, and I looked up uh, to the front of the room, and here was this casket, and it had an elderly lady in it, and she was wearing a black dress and a white collar that had crocheted flowers in it or something. It was quite pretty. But the thing that impressed me, she had snow white hair. It actually glistened. It was so white.
Yeah.
And I didn't know who she was. But anyway, one time, a couple of weeks later, I think it was, I was over at my grandparents' place, and I was in the living room. They always had pictures of the family and everything all over the place. And I was looking at those photographs, and here was that lady dressed in the same dress. And I asked my grandmother, I said, "Who is this?" And she said, "Well, that's your great grandmother." I said,
Mhm.
"Really?" She said, "Yeah. Uh, she died about 2 years before you were born." And so I know as sure as I'm sitting here now today that my great grandmother wanted me to know who she was. And she placed that dream or that vision in my head when I went to bed that night. And I thought that was pretty neat, actually. I met my great grandmother through a dream, found out who she was, even though she was dead at the time. But anyway, um, but
We have another one. My older sister was in a bad car crash, on life support for 5 weeks, and died doing simple surgery, blood clot. She came to me, didn't talk, just smiled. Beautiful she was with this light around her.
yeah, um, your sister,
Yeah, her older sister.
your sister's beside me right now. She's identified herself to me as your sister. She said that she's sorry she had to go that time, that she didn't have a choice in the matter, that she was too bad off and too not able to recoup from that accident. But she says she wants her family members, especially you.
Hmm.
Are you are you Donna?
Donna.
She wants you, Donna, to remember her and remember the good times. And she says that she will. Uh, she says that she's around you quite often, and that sometimes she thinks that you feel her. And is that right? Um, that you can feel your sister. But anyway, she's telling me to tell you. Yeah,
Said yes.
she's telling me to tell you that she loved you then, and she loves you now. And she wants me to tell you that not to worry about her because she's in a really good place. And this place is without death and it's without sickness. And she's going to be there forever. And so she said not to worry about her. Just think of the happy times that you guys had. And she's told me that when it's your time to pass, Donna, that she'll be there to help you pass over also. And anyway, she's telling me that for you to tell the family that you heard from her on this program, and to tell them the same thing that she has told you now. Anyway, she's backing off now. She's backing away, but she wanted you to know that she's all right.
She said to tell her sister she loves her so much.
I already did. You just didn't know it.
That's a comforting message to know that when Donna passes, that her sister will be waiting for her to help her
Yeah.
transition her pass.
You know, God made family units. Uh, Human beings are in family units. Animals are in family units, and that's where you get your strength from in this life. And the it's really bad. Divorces and the things that happen in families that tears them apart, and they lose their energy. They lose their strength and the support that they have from the other members of their family, and it causes a lot of damage. Not only in this generation, but even in the generations to come. So having a family is very important. And I'm going to tell you right now, having a family when the end starts, like this climate change and stuff, is going to be very important to have a family and have that connection with your family and that strength. And it's going to be important for you to gather around your families when all this starts happening. And it's going to be happening here soon. It's already started, basically.
You guys have any questions, Jason or Adam?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what do you think what would you say your favorite, your book, or your favorite subject was to write about when you wrote all your different books?
Um, well, I think my last book, the one that's out right now on Kindle or ebook, I think that's probably my favorite subject that I write about. It's entitled Things to Come. And I wrote that book about 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. But because of my wife's health, we weren't able to get it published until now. She's working on it now. But uh, the information in there is very important. Plus, I talk about when I went to hell, and I talk about when I went again to see my grandfather. And I also talk about the things that's coming up in this thing. I talk about earthquakes and volcanoes and storms, hurricanes and tornadoes and stuff like that. And that's all going to be a part of this climate change and the things that's going to happen. And, um, I I tell people even now when they tell me that they're moving close to the coast or close to the ocean, I tell them not to because that's not going to be a good place when this stuff starts going on more.
Do you think
Uh,
they should elevate their latitude, longitude? Like they should move somewhere higher up?
yeah, move farther inland. There's got to be a lot of stuff going on with the oceans. And when Adam and Eve was cast out of the garden, according to the Bible, God cursed the land. But in the end times, it's going to be He's cursed the waters. So you want to stay away from the water as much as possible, the oceans and stuff like that, because it's going to be they're going to be there's going to be uh, tsunamis because of these storms. There's going to be uh, tsunamis because of the earthquakes in the oceans, and you don't want to be living anywhere close to the ocean, to the water. And I'm just telling you that. And part of that curse of the waters too is like our rivers and our streams are all polluted and they're poisoned. You can't even get a drink of water from a spring or from a river now because it's poisoned, it's polluted. I remember as a kid, my grandfather took me out in New York, and there was a spring coming right out of the ground. We actually drank the water out of it, but I would be fairly cautious now because the mining and everything else that's going on. A lot of that water is just poisonous now, and that's another part of this stuff that's happening in the end times, or what I talk about.
Donna says you have no idea what you've done for me and my family. She was saying thank
Oh,
you
really?
for the message.
Oh my God! Well, you're most
That's
welcome.
kind of
Thank
weird.
you.
This is kind of a coincidence too. These two people are on, and her sister. Okay, Allison is talking and saying that she's kind of glad. I guess she said that's scary. I live out east in Palm Beach County, Florida, and then Donna said that's where her sister passed away.
Really?
It's kind of odd.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I had a lady tell me that she had property next to the coast on the east coast, and she also had property. Well, she rented in California, so she was on the Coast Coast. She said she wanted to know if I thought it would be all right for her to go back to the East Coast live. And I asked her how close to the ocean she was, and she said, "Well, pretty close." And I said, "Well, I wouldn't go there to live." I said, "Not now. You need to get in probably." I would go in about 20 miles from the ocean, LA, and because these storms that come in, they're going to be pretty big and pretty powerful, and they're going to cause waves and stuff that's going to be really, once the rise in the oceans, it's going to wipe out quite a bit of the coastline of the United States, especially. Donna's in Massachusetts, it says here.
That's where Donna lives.
Well, all I can say is stay with your family, stay close to your family.
That's what I've
And,
been feeling lately is to like draw in closer to your group and make your
yeah,
circle smaller and pick wisely who you give your energy to.
exactly. And prepare. You can prepare for a little bit of this stuff. Uh, you can have a garden. You can, uh, have things prepare for that. When you might not be able to have food or go to the grocery store because it's underwater or whatever. You can prepare for some of this stuff that's going to be happening. I know when we bought our house, I went crazy buying fruit trees. I couldn't believe it. I was planting fruit trees all over the place. My wife said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I don't know. I just have an urge to plant these trees." And the only thing I can think of is it's because of that. What
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you now, be prepared. Stay with your family. Um, we've already went through a lot of this pandemic, and we're still going through it. And come to find out, there's a variant now that's just as strong, and you can catch it easier than the COVID-19. And uh, I've been told personally that COVID-19, when I was in spirit, was not going to end until next year,
Mm-hmm.
like the middle of next year. And
I think a lot of things are going to change in the next year too, and a lot of bad things are going to happen this year.
exactly. Once that leaves, that doesn't mean that's the only pandemic that's around. And that pandemic was man made. They can deny it all they want to, but it
I
was
think
man
it was
made.
too. I believe that
And
it was somehow.
I was told that it wasn't nature, wasn't natural, that it was made. That's the reason why it's so hard for them to get a handle on it now. It was not made by nature. It was made in a lab, and they made it where it was stronger and more dangerous. And they used they were making it on purpose so they could release it on some country. I don't know whether it was a mistake that they released it when they did, but I know it got out and now it's worldwide. But that's not the only one. There's other sicknesses and illnesses gonna be going around here too in the end times. So it's supposed to be to your family and stay close to them. Like this pandemic, we were in quarantine a lot of times, and or we had to stay in the house with our families. Everything was in lockdown, and we're going to see more of that too. I can tell you that right now. Don't
Hmm.
throw your mask away.
I
Uh,
don't think it's going to be as controlled this time, though. I think it's going to be worse.
yeah, exactly. Uh, I hate to talk that way because it's all negative, and that's what these things are that's coming in. It's negative energy,
Hmm.
all of it, and it's very strong, and it causes these diseases and these things that's happening to the world and to us as human beings. And the only thing you can do is just try to protect yourself and your family from this stuff. And a lot of it you can. Like COVID-19, I still don't go to restaurants. I still don't do a lot of stuff out in public because of it. And my wife, when she was working at Walmart as a cashier, she used to see hundreds of people check them out each day as she went to work. And that was really dangerous. And I gave her a blessing every day before she left for work. And I placed a wall of protection around her that she would not catch this COVID-19 or any other diseases or viruses that was going around at the time. She never got sick until she retired. Never. Uh, and that's what I mean. You have to be able to protect yourself. You have to be able to protect your family. You know, I'm a healer. I'm a spiritual healer. But you can take up things like Reiki. You can become a healer yourself. Uh, just study Reiki and become a healer yourself. So I told this one lady one time that she was a healer, and she said, "Am I?" And I said, "Yeah, you can just touch people and you can heal them." She had it in her hands, and I'm pretty sure that uh, a lot of families are going to have people in those families that can heal and do things that they didn't know they could do before. It's the universe's way of preparing people for the end times. Uh, I know there's a lot of mediums now. It seems like we have more mediums now than what we did before. And I think a lot of it is because of that. The universe is preparing for the end times also. You can feel it in the air, can't you?
I
You
can. Yeah,
yeah, you
real
can,
heavy. Probably heavier than I've ever felt anything, and I don't really know exactly. I just have bits and pieces, but I've felt something really, really, really heavy. Probably the heaviest natural thing that wasn't to do with the specific person or a specific like contained thing. I've felt not good things coming. Really,
yeah,
really heavy things coming. And I wouldn't even say that. And I would never ever false alarm anybody or make anybody paranoid. I'm not that kind of person, but I think that if you're like being told like day and night for days on end by like some other like intuitive thing, then I think that you're supposed to share that message just so that people can take care of themselves and be on alert and be prepared or whatever.
That's why we have these abilities, Rosie.
Mm-hmm.
We have these abilities so we can use it for other people, uh, like healers. I heal my family and my animals and whoever needs healing. I do the best I can at it. Sometimes it doesn't work. I don't know why. Maybe it's that person's time to leave this earth or whatever. But I do the best I can, and I use my abilities for other people. Uh, I give readings just like I did that little mini reading from uh, Donna's sister. Her sister was sitting right beside me, and I almost had to give her that reading and tell her what her sister wanted her to hear. And uh, we have these abilities to use for the world, basically for whoever needs it. You have abilities, I know you do, and I know you know things like I do, just like you have a heavy feeling about something. I had that feeling before COVID-19 came in. I told Barbara about it. I said, I don't know what's going on, but something big is going to happen here.
Mm-hmm.
And just about a week or so later, they announced about this COVID-19. At the time, I didn't realize that that was it. But after they said it was a pandemic, they started closing things down. That was what I was feeling because I didn't feel it anymore. After it happened, I didn't feel it. But now I got this heavy feeling again. And it's, I don't know, something big is going on. I just don't know what it is. I'm not told what it is. Um,
I'm not told, but I have a pretty good
yeah,
idea. Several different ideas. Just because I've
yeah,
been having really weird, vivid dreams every night for like the last 4 nights. And I
yeah,
remember them throughout the day. I don't forget them like you normally would, where I have to journal it. I actually
yeah,
remember every detail,
yeah,
even when I go to bed the next night. And it's got some kind of strange message in it, it seems like.
yeah, yeah. That's with me. I have a feeling they didn't come out and tell me what it was, but I can almost tell what it is just by the way I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, there's other diseases that's coming around behind this one, and like you said, it's going to probably be worse than this one, and it's going to be the death is going to be more than it is this time. And what's that? No, but
Oh,
Jason Walker, same thing, right?
There's a thing that we're doing, I guess, and I said as long as no Jason Voorhees is there, it's on Friday the 13th. And he said no, but there might be a Jason Walker there, and he's talking about Jason that's here right now. That's funny.
then
Anyway,
have you ever?
Go ahead.
Oh, have you ever had like a spirit like come to you and say like? Because I've read this in a couple of books, a couple of different stories about like a spirit coming back to a loved one saying that on that side there's no such thing as time,
that's right.
and like
Perfect. Exactly right. You know, it says in the Bible and the prophets is that, you know, when you die, you can live forever. Well, on the other side, there's no time. Spirits on the other side don't have time. They don't have need for time. A lot of them don't even know what time is. Um, and they their spirits are energy, and scientists will tell you that you cannot destroy energy. You can only change it. The form of it or whatever. Like you can change um, motor like into heat or something for the room or whatever. You can only change.
Transmute it like a transmutation.
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, so when we die, the energy is changed basically into the spirit again from the way it was before when it came to this earth. But What I'm trying to say is, since there's no time, you can't destroy energy. They live forever. And that's an easy thing to figure out. You don't have to, you really go into the science of that. They will live forever. Um, Donna says she was in a coma for 30 days and it felt like minutes. Yeah, yeah, that's me about it. When I went and saw my grandfather, I thought I was only gone for a few hours. I visited him one night when I went to bed, got up the next morning uh, to get ready for work. But I started getting information and knowledge, and the only place I could have got it from was when I saw my grandfather. And I could have been there not just a night, I could have been there a week, a month, I could have been there a year, I could have been there 20 years. And they just brought me back and placed me where I was supposed to be in the time of history where I was living. Yeah, you know, I heard someplace where history is like the pages of the book, and God kind of thumbs through them or something like that. That's pretty much what it is, um, for these spirits and God, uh, for them to bring me back to the exact time I was before I left. And in actuality, I could have been gone for 20 years. Um, it's almost mind-boggling. You can't put your mind around it. But this is
Almost.
what's that?
Oh, no, I was gonna say, almost like it would be like impossible for like the human mind to comprehend their ability to take you away and bring you back at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Like these people, the ones that taken up in UFOs, the spaceships and stuff, they bring them back. And a lot of times they have a misconception as to how long they were gone or whatever. And my wife sat on the dog. But anyway, uh, yeah, it's once Earth was placed under this concept at the time when I think Adam and Eve did their thing in the garden. It was when God put a curse on them and on the earth or the soil and everything. That's and he even told Adam that he would die at some point, and that's when it happened. And it's, it's that veil that everybody talked about. That has to have something to do with it. I don't know what, but it has to. I don't think any other planet has a veil around it for the spirits. And that's my own thoughts. I'm not sure about it.
Do you think it's depleting right now, or it's like thinning? You're
What,
saying
what's that?
it's like thinning right now. It's becoming more vulnerable for
Oh,
them.
yeah. Yeah, it is. It's becoming thinner. And that's the reason why we're getting more mediums now, because they're able to see and talk to those spirits that's behind the veil, because it is thinner now than what it used to be. Uh, um, a lot of times before I go on the show Sunday with Barbara and my wife, I'll tell Barbara, I said, I feel the spirits stirring around back there behind the veil. And I actually do. They're getting ready for the show just like we are. A lot of times we go on the air and there's all kinds of things happening. And it's because of those spirits. But yeah, the veil's getting very thin. And it seems like to me it's drawing closer it's drawing closer to the earth. Um, it doesn't seem so far away.
I kind of feel like what you were saying about the water, like actually kind of describes how I've been feeling, like almost like the spirits are in a you know, like when a dam breaks and
Yeah,
there's just an undertow and people go under and they drown. I almost
yeah,
feel like the spirits are in that right now, like around us, and they're like in this undertow and they're wanting direction or communication or help.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing too, and you can tell the spirits. You know, before this COVID-19 came, I heard, I felt the spirits stirring around back there. Then I told Barbara that I felt the spirits gathering in family units themselves and becoming closer. And I I didn't know at the time what was going on, but after COVID-19 started, I realized then they were preparing for their loved ones that were going to pass in this illness, and many millions or hundreds of thousands of people died from this COVID, and they were preparing on the other side for this lot of people to go through the veil, and they were preparing their family units to receive these spirits.
Yeah,
And uh, in a lot of ways, this is a bad time, but in a lot of ways, it's a good time. And I say this because there's going to be a lot of wondrous and wonderful things that's going to go on. There's going to be all kinds of magical things we would think magical going on, but at the same time, there's going to be a lot of uh, bad things going on too. The negative energy that we were talking about. It's going to be a time in history that no other um, group of human beings has ever went through, as far as I know. Yeah, but we're coming close to it, and we should be preparing for it. Well, anyway, that's my, that's my take on it. Anyway, I'm only
yeah,
a little medium. I've never been on TV to speak. I never went around healing people in churches and stuff. But I I've been told things. I've been shown things, and I know that things are going to happen, just like you do, Roger. And we need as a family to get together, and it would be nice for the human family to get together. And but I don't see that happening. Um, the world just don't want it to happen. I think that's another thing. There's going to be there's going to be another war, at least one war.
yeah. I think so too. That's what I'm actually feeling, like some kind of warfare.
Yeah, there's going to be at least one more war. I think I called it World War Three.
I've been dreaming about it too.
Because it's going to be the countries that's involved. It's going to have a lot of allies. The allies are going to be in tune for the country that they're allied with, and so it's going to become a world war. Um, I believe it's going to start over there in the Middle East. Um, and I got two different things on it, either in the Middle East or around the Koreas. North and South Korea could start there too.
Hmm.
But I'm thinking it's going to be in the Middle East. But anyway, it's going to be a bad one because everybody's allies with those countries. So everybody's going to be involved, including the United States. So anyway, I had to throw that out there. because that's another thing that you should prepare for.
Yeah, I've been having some thoughts and some feelings and some dreams about war, and I've just noticed some things going on lately that with the military.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Donna wants to know my name. My name is Alan Wright. ALANWRIGHT. Alan Wright. And I think you can look me up on Google. A couple of my books, I think, on Google at one time anyway. If not, just go to, you can go to Amazon.com /author /Alan Wright, and you come up to my author page, I believe it is. But you can find me there. You can go to my Facebook page. Just look me up on my Facebook page, Alan Wright, and I'm there. I think I'm the only Alan Wright that's an author on Facebook. Oh, no. My wife is wandering around here. And my leg propped up. She thought maybe you could see it. Well, yeah, I did. Anyway,
I was gonna say how you're talking about like how you were able to like sense the spirits on the other side like interacting, doing something. That made me think about like how there's stories of like parents telling about how their children would talk about how they were up in heaven and that they chose, you know, like this parent, that parent to be sent to that parent. Like they're working up there to see who's gonna go where before they're even born.
yeah.
That's what made me think about that.
Well, like I said, energy is forever. There's no time except for here on Earth. And there was a pre-existence. And this pre-existence, we were preparing to come to this Earth. And of course, by preparing, I mean, they were helping us. Have you heard the term old soul? You're an
Yep.
old soul. Well, it's actually true. There's spirits in every family that's old soul, a person in every family that's an old soul. And in the pre-existence, he was one of the ancestors, one of the family members that helped his family members to prepare to come to this earth. And whenever it's his turn to come to earth, he might be really old. And when he comes to this earth, there's how can he's mature. He's more mature. He's different than maybe other members in the family. He has a gratitude for the earth. He doesn't do things to like mess the earth up or anything. He might belong, or she might belong to animal foundations, because they have a love for animals. Um, they have a love of family, mainly because they helped their family to come to this earth. Now, they might not remember it, but it's a built-in thing in them where they have a love of family. And I know this to be true because I was told this, I was showed this. The spirits that when they come to earth are prepared. And I believe a lot of times those spirits are shown their life before they come, what it's going to be like. Like I said, history is like the pages of a book, and they're able to go forward or backwards in this book. And of course, in pre-existence, when they come to Earth, they're going to be going forward. So they're actually able to um, go forward and see what their life is going to be like. And in that uh, sphere, I know a lot of people don't believe it, but I believe that's uh, where people, when you go into a room, you think you've been there before, or you meet somebody that you think you've met before, and that's where that comes from. You probably did meet him, but you met him when you were on your little trip to see what your life was like. Um, Deja vu is what I'm trying to say. I've had periods of deja vu, especially when I was young, that lasted for a long time, hours. And one time was when I was at a boys camp, and I think I probably toiled around there quite long and spent some more time there when I was in pre-existence because I knew what was going to happen next. I knew the people in there. I knew all the camp, what we call them, the leaders of the camp. I just knew them. But yeah, I think we have a preview of our lives before we come to this earth. If I have a question, Helen, what weird stuff just happened? LOL, your voice was garbled, and what is it now?
I knew it was going to happen.
Looks like evil was trying to
Zuckerberg.
you, LOL, so you couldn't be heard by all of us. Oh, I'm sorry. Apparently that was true. But I was just saying that your life, when you're in the pre-existence, you can come and preview your life before you even come here. That's the reason why you have periods of deja vu and stuff like that, or you feel like you've met somebody before, but you couldn't have because this is the first time you saw them. Um, uh,
You're talking about soul recognition?
yeah, actually, something like that.
Yeah.
But
Because
a lot of people say they believe in reincarnation, and because they feel that they've had other lives. Uh, and that's the reason why they think they know people and stuff like that. And I, I'm not a believer of that. The reason why is because we each have one spirit. That's all we have is one spirit, and we have one body, and we're told to take care of this body. That is a temple of God, and the reason for that is we're going to be living in that same body until we die. Now, when we die, our spirit leaves our body immediately. There's no being buried in the ground. There's no being thrown into the oven to be burnt. The only thing that's destroyed or buried is your body. Your spirit leaves your body immediately. The minute your heart gets beaten, you're gone. Unless there's a chance of you coming back. Now, the Jewish people believe that the spirit stayed around the body for about 3 days, I think it is. And I thought that was kind of unique that they thought that way. But yeah, your spirit comes out of the body no matter what. And that happens immediately. It might dilly-dally around for a little bit, but it comes out of your body, and you're not buried with the body, your spirit, or burnt with the body. I often wondered what happens to people that's in these horrific car crashes, or that's these terrible things that happens to them. Like I live in Arizona, there's been people that has fallen off the canyon wall and has fallen, a half a mile down into the canyon. Or the people from 9/11 that was jumping off those buildings. I wonder does God permit the spirit to stay in their body all the way down? And I have to say no. Um, I have to say that the body leaves, or the spirit leaves the body before that happens. Um, I just can't imagine that God would permit something like that to happen. You know, horrific as it is. I know for a fact that people with Alzheimer's and they they're in so much pain with this in towards the end that they can't speak, they can't move their body, fingers or nothing. Everything that's done for them is done by another person. And I know for a fact in this pain that their spirit does leave their body for periods of time. And that's to give the spirit time to get away from this pain and to cope with what they're going through at the time. And then they go back into the body for periods of time too. I know people when they have a relative that's going through this. Sometimes they have days where they're they know where they are. They seem like they know where they are, and so on and so forth. But that could be when the body has been back in the body itself, or the spirit, I mean. But I know for a fact it's happened to me twice. I gave readings, and I said, "Your mother's here beside me on this one woman." She said, "It can't be because she's at home in bed." I said, "At home in bed?" She said, "Yes, she has Alzheimer's. She can't move. She can't talk. She can't do anything." I said, "Well, she's right here beside me." I said, "She's telling me things to tell you." And that I told her things that she couldn't hardly believe, but it was so fantastic that, she was in tears. And the thing of it is it gave her courage to go ahead and take care of her mother with a happy heart, because she was down in the dumps having to take care of her mother when she felt that her mother wasn't even there, couldn't do anything or anything. Come to find out, her mother was there at times, and the spirit was able to leave and stuff. That really picked her up, where she uh, could give her mother more attention and to uh, improve her care, actually, of what she was doing for her mother, because she knew her mother was still in that body at times.
Mm-hmm.
What she was doing, because she told the daughter what she was doing. So anyway, yeah, that's all that.
There was a question Donna asked, I believe. Yeah, how do you become a Reiki master?
How do you?
Yes.
Well, Barbara Patron's in the audience there right now. She's a Reiki master. She could probably give you a phone number or a person to contact. Barbara, if you can hear me, could you do that for this lady? Alan, we have Sarah in here now. What? LOL, I love the show. Thank you for introducing me to it. That's Barbara Patron. She's my one. She's the host of Crossover Connections on Sunday. But anyway, if you can hear me, Barbara, post that stuff about the Reiki master, how she can do it. You could probably also look it up on Google and find out how to uh, go through the process. There's different steps and levels that you have to become before you can be a Reiki master. I helped my family with my grandparents that way. Well, Donna, it seems like you've had a lot of stuff go on in your life, in your family. And God bless you for having the courage and the strength to continue. It's sometimes you really get down in the dump, but just remember, if you're a good person, the good things are going to happen to you. We we kind of feel that death is a bad thing, but actually, a lot of times it's a good thing. Um, because when you cross over, you're going to be among family members. You're going to be where there's no more pain, no more sickness. You're going to be able to live forever. Um, it, you know, when you were born as a baby into this life, there was happiness. Everybody was happy because there was a newborn baby in here. And you can look at death basically the same way, that as you pass over, you're going into your new life, and there's going to be people that's going to be happy because you passed over and came into back into their lives. And so it is like a rebirth. And at the same time, when you were born in this physical life, you had to leave those people behind when you came here. So there was a period that maybe they were sad because you had come here. It's almost like death, maybe, maybe not. And they had to come later on at their time. But anyway, we we have to kind of change our thoughts about death. Sometimes it's a release, and sometimes it's something that's, I think, probably most of the time it's good, um, especially if you're experiencing such great pain that you can't put up with it anymore. What does Barbara say? Oops, I missed what Barbara said.
She would love to help Donna. Be careful because it can be expensive and it should not be. I agree because I thought about doing it at one time and it is expensive.
Uh, yeah. Well, Barbara's, I consider her a healer too because she's a Reiki master. Uh, um, anyway, is there anything else you would like to know? Any more questions?
I did have another question. Um, did you had said something about sometimes you could see with your eyes, like naked eye, like you can see me right now, and sometimes you'd see in another way when you were recognizing a spirit being around or whatever. Do you know what change? What do you think changes that?
Um, I think it's just the way that the spirit wants to present themselves to you. They have the ability to present themselves to you any way that they want you to uh, see them. You could take a person that died in this life at, say, 80, 90 years old, and he's very old, wrinkly, and whatever. But when you see him as a spirit, he might decide that he wants to be 30 years old again because that was the best time in his life that he had here. So when you see him again, he'll present himself in as a 30-year-old. Sometimes you can't recognize members of your own family because they're presenting themselves in a matter that you hadn't seen them that way before. And so they have the ability to do that. Um, I think it's pretty neat if you could do that. I'd stay 30 years old all my life, forever.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Um,
Sometimes I feel them as they move up beside me, just like with Donna's sister there. All of a sudden, I felt something move up beside me. And I kind of glanced out of the corner of my eye, and there was a young lady, and she identified herself as Donna's sister. And she wanted to give her a message, and so that's what I did. But in that case, I didn't see her, I felt her. And when she communicated with me with spirit to spirit. she was actually communicating with my spirit, and uh, it's almost like talking telepathically, and because we can from spirit to spirit, I can tell them things the same way, and just like I told her that her sister loved her, and uh, so yeah, and the other way is like you said. Sometimes I see them. For I know my mother lives in this house. I know she does because I've seen her, and she has about 3 or 4 dogs that she brought with her, spirit dogs, of course. And
Mhm.
sometimes I see a dog and I'm going, "Oh, wait a minute, what dog's that?" And I realize it's one of my mother's dogs that she had. But they're benign; they don't cause any problems. And Lori's mother's here too, and I think Lori's mother brought a dog or two with her too. But like I said, they're benign. They're here because they love us. They like the atmosphere, the presence in the house, and they just want to be with us. And and as far as I'm concerned, I'm all for that. They don't cause us any problems, none whatsoever. Now, I can't say so much like that for the other spirits that's around me all the time,
Mhm.
but I kind of keep them in control as much as I can. I always try to keep spirits of light around me because I I can't deal with negativity, and that's what these dark spirits are. The ones that want to create havoc and stuff like that in the
Yeah.
family. They're just uh, negativity is what it is, dark negativity. And
Oh, somebody.
Jonathan, and who can see them? Who can see who?
Oh, I was reading Joshua's comment. He had a pet that passed away today.
No.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
That is sad.
Who could see them? Well, uh, I had a little dog that passed away. I love that little Chihuahua with all my heart. He was like a brother to me, and he got a tumor in his heart. I only had him for about 7 years, and I had to put him down. As one of the hardest things I ever did in my life was putting that little dog down. And he stayed with me for a couple months, and he was with me all the time. I heard his toenails on the wood floors. He followed me all over the place. He went with me when I went out to feed the animals out back. Uh, he, he, I don't know if I told you this before. He had a habit of going out on the front porch and barking at the cars that went down the road in front of our
Yeah.
house. It was a it was a rural house, out in the desert. We were set back from the highway, and so not too many cars traveled that road too often back then. And so he'd sit out there and sun himself or whatever he did out in the front porch. It was screened in, and he'd see a car and he'd just start barking at it. Well, one morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, it was about 6 o'clock. It was just getting daylight. I heard a dog out there barking, just barking, just like he used to do. And I thought, no, it can't be. And I went out to see who it was, and sure enough, there was nobody on. I couldn't see nobody out there. I couldn't see him at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And but it was him. It was him barking at those cars again. He wanted to do what he used to do. I mean, that's where he got his happiness. But one day I told him, I said, I named him Koala for whatever reason, but I told him, I said, Koala, I said, I'm going to be all right, and you're going to be all right. You don't have to stay with me anymore. I'm going to move on. And I said, it's time for you to move on too. I said, you see that white light up there? I said, go to it, go into that white light. And after that, I didn't feel him or nothing anymore after that. He went into that white light. I know he did. So you can help spirits past too, the ones that's here for a certain reason, just like his little spirit was here to be with me. I think he thought he had to be with me to help me, in some way to cope with his passing, I guess. But yeah, a lot of times it's to give a message, like uh, Donna's sister. She wanted to give her a message, and for her to give the family a message. But
Yeah.
any other
That
questions?
I just wanted to say really quick. That reminds me of that story from I believe it's from the '60s where the guy passed away. I think it was in Scotland. The guy passed away, and like his dog would come to his grave and
Yeah.
sit there like
And there's
day
a
and night
restaurant named after it.
for
Yeah.
so many years, and
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's just. I mean, it's you know.
you just, people say animals are dumb, but animals are not dumb. They
No.
have spirits. They were created just like we were from the dust of the earth, and they have spirits. Uh, they have a body. They have a brain. The only thing is they cannot communicate well with us when in the present form. But I know for a fact when they pass, when they go to wherever they're supposed to go, and I pass, they're going to be talking. They're going to be talking the language that you're familiar with. I know this for a fact. Uh, the only reason why they're here now is to be how can I put it? Basically, our friends and our pets and uh, to help mankind is what it is. They're here for that purpose.
In a way, they're healers also. They heal
Exactly. They are healers.
just through their
Uh,
companionship and their presence.
I feel sorry for people who have killed animals, and especially in a malicious way. I can understand hunting for food and stuff like this, but just to kill just for the heck of it, for the hell of it, to me, they're going to be talking to somebody that's going to have their future in their hands, and it's not going to be very good as to what happens to them. Because I think actually God created these little creatures, and they were created before us. And I think actually they're probably His favorite. To tell you in a lot of ways, what has mankind done to His creation here? Nothing but
I think my
tear it
cat
up and
hears
blow
you.
it up.
My cat is clawing at the door. Funny.
Out of all times.
Um, Donna had a question how to reach you or how to reach Barbara for the Reiki Master information.
Um, why don't you send me an email? I hope you have a pencil. It's paperback writer 35 at yahoo.com. That's paperback writer 35 at yahoo.com.
Writer, like WRITER,
What's that?
paperback writer dot.
Writer. Yeah. Writer. Remember the Beatles had a song that paperback writer? Uh,
Is
I
that
got
Yahoo? You said Yahoo?
Yahoo, yeah. Yahoo.com.
That's interesting. How you the name the Beatles.
But anyway, yeah, send me an email if you have any questions or anything like that. I can answer them. Um, I also do readings, but I charge for my readings. Kind of helps me move on.
Yeah.
But but I didn't
A lot
used
of
to.
people have to. I mean, a lot of people have thought about it too. I hadn't for a long time. I haven't, except a few times, and
Yeah.
To devote that time to the people that need them, you got to charge to be able to pay your bills sometimes.
Well, that's it too. I'm retired now, so I'm on a fixed income. So it's not like I'm getting rich or something in some corporation or anything. But and it does take my time, and I am using my abilities, and so I don't see any harm in charging, and it's very small fee.
Yeah, as long as you're not ripping people off and charging them outrageous prices. You want to tell everybody? I put your paperback writer at yahoo.com in the comments, but do you want to tell everybody where else they can find you? Because we're out of time. And in case anyone wants a reading or something from you, how do they reach you?
The same way, paperback writer, or you can text me at 435-590-1573. Now, don't call me at that number because my phone's got a program in it that will not take any calls unless you're on my contact list. Now, if you call me for a reading, I can put you in my contact list, and then that way you can call me later and whatever. But text me at 435-590-1573, and we can schedule a reading, or I can answer your questions that way also. But anyway, that's about it.
I'll put that in there. I put text messages only. And where can they find your books and your and information about which things you've published and stuff?
My books go to Amazon.com/author/Wright Allen, and you'll go into my page there at Amazon. They should have some of my books there, and they tell a little bit about me and everything. My my bio, so to speak, and that's where I'm at. That'd be the best way to do it. While you're there,
Amazon.com. Sorry, I lost you after you said Amazon.com
//author/Wright Allen.
All right, I got you all on there. And if you want to come back on sometime in the future, I think I might have some openings in September or October. If you would like to come back on, it's up to you. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I'd love it. I feel that people with abilities like ours should spread the word, so to speak. I mean, prophets back in the old days in the Bible, they had abilities. They were like us. They saw things, they heard things, they see things, they communicated with spirits. They were healers. They were like us. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, but I'm just saying that, and my abilities is nowhere close to them probably. But we as mediums and empaths, we have the abilities almost like them, and it's we're supposed to do that for the human race. They're God-given abilities that we were born with, and we're supposed to help out. So anyway,
I do think it's very close to compare to a prophet or whatever. I was just telling everybody good night, but yeah, I'll get with you. And then her name is Donna Sassy Partlow, just in case to be expecting her name or whatever for help with the Reiki Master stuff. So,
let me take a screenshot of that, okay?
Okay.
I just want to wish Stephen a happy birthday.
Yes. It's not over yet, but he's asleep, so when he wakes up to go to work, it'll be over. But happy 25th birthday, Stephen.
Yeah.
You guys take it easy. It was nice being on again. I enjoy this program. I enjoy your listeners, your viewers. Good program to be on, and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being on.
Thank you all for watching.
Good night.